It really is. It's a very specific philosophical framework. The text starts by saying human life has this trifarious character.
Trifarious, okay.
Yeah, 3 core expressions. Our physical side, then our psychic desires, longings, and crucially, this unique thing called spiritual thirst.
Spiritual thirst, okay.
And these 3 expressions then lead into 4 distinct approaches to living. And that's our mission today, right? To understand these 4 ways.
And figure out which one is the key to what the source actually calls becoming a Superman.
Exactly. It's about unlocking that ultimate potential.
So yeah, our deep dive mission, get clear on these 4 approaches and really highlight the difference, the huge gap between the ways we act that are, well, kind of like other animals, and the one approach that's supposed to be this massive leap, the secret sauce for human potential. We're looking for the real differentiator here, the upgrade path.
And that differentiator, the sources are super clear on this. It's all rooted in that 3rd expression we mentioned, the spiritual thirst.
Right, and here's where it gets really interesting, isn't it? The source singles out this spiritual thirst as the special thing about humans.
Yeah, the defining characteristic.
And it's pretty direct about it. It says if this thirst is missing, it doesn't matter how smart you are or what you look like psychologically, you're not fully human in this context.
Quite a statement.
It is. And it says this drive, this thirst, is the future direction. We have to encourage it to, and I'm quoting here, exalt his position to that of Superman.
It's a powerful idea.
Yeah.
And yet if you look around, at our world, we spend, almost all our energy perfecting the other ways, the other approaches, the ones that, according to this text, we share, at least in principle, with animals.
Okay, so let's start there then. The first approach, the physical approach. Right.
Now, my first thought, using some critical thinking here, is that physical approach sounds like, advanced science, maybe building rockets, quantum computers. We think of scientists as uniquely human.
Yeah, it's the common view, absolutely.
So why does the source seem to downplay this? Why isn't that the big differentiator?
Because it's about the approach, the underlying motivation, not just how complex the result is. The physical approach, as defined here, is about inventing sciences just for physical pleasure, for comfort, for survival.
Ah, okay. So the why matters more than the what.
Precisely. While, our inventions are way more complex than a bird building a nest.
Right.
The source argues that the fundamental intent adjusting to the physical objective world is basically the same kind of activity. It falls under objective adjustment.
So a bird scientifically figuring out the best twigs and insulation for its nest, and a team of engineers designing a super efficient climate-controlled building. If the main goal is just physical comfort or survival,
then the approach is the same category, according to this framework. Objective adjustment.
Exactly. The source mentions birds building nests scientifically, or ants having these incredibly complex societies. These are amazing examples of objective adjustment. Our huge cities are more complex than an anthill, sure. But if the driver's just material needs...
We're still playing the same game, just at a higher level?
That's the argument. It's adjusting to the world, not fundamentally transforming ourselves in relation to something deeper.
Okay, that clarifies the first one. What about the next 2? They start bringing the mind into it, but are still limited. Let's talk about number 2, the mix. Physico-psychic and/or psychophysical.
Right. This is a really important step up, and it shows how the human mind acts like a bridge. Most animals are mainly physico-psychic, meaning their physical needs, their environment, that's what drives their mental state. They think because they're hungry or they sense danger. Body drives mind, basically.
Gotcha. But humans can flip that. We're also psychophysical.
Yes. That's the key difference highlighted here. We can start with a purely mental idea, like, say, a concept like justice or an abstract scientific theory.
Something that doesn't exist physically yet?
Exactly. And then we use that mental concept to actually change the physical world around us, build institutions, run experiments, create art based on an idea. This ability to reverse it, mind driving body and environment, shows more development.
A more developed mental want, as the source puts it.
Right. But crucially, it's still generally aimed at objective adjustment, improving the external world based on our thoughts.
Okay. And the third one, purely psychic. This sounds like focusing just on the mind.
It is. This is about developing mental and emotional capacities, things like complex language, deep feelings, loyalty, planning ahead, abstract thought itself.
And the source says we even see hints of this in some other developed creatures.
Yeah, it mentions dogs, monkeys. Animals that show a pretty refined psychic want, strong emotions, complex social learning, problem solving.
So let's pull those first three together then. The physical, the physico-psychic, psychophysical mix, and the purely psychic.
They're all incredibly important for how we live and function, but they all fall under this umbrella term, objective adjustment.
Adjusting to the physical world or using our minds to better adjust to or manipulate the physical and social world.
That's it. Essential stuff, but not the final destination, according to this framework.
So if all that objective adjustment, even the really sophisticated mental kind, only gets us so far, maybe to the level of a very, very smart animal, how do we make the big leap? What's the unique approach, the one that points towards that Superman potential?
That's the fourth one, the ultimate goal, the psycho-spiritual approach.
Psycho-spiritual.
And this, the text insists, is completely absent in all other animals.
Yeah.
It's the human specialty. It says it only really emerges at a certain stage of developed mind.
Okay.
And nurturing this approach, encouraging it, is what allows us to establish ourselves in the full glory of humanity. This is what's called spiritual sadhana, or spiritual practice, spiritual cult in the text.
That really does sound progressive, doesn't it? It's not just about survival or comfort, but actual transformation. Where does this path lead?
This is the subjective approach. Unlike the others focused outward, this focuses inward and upward, you could say. The trajectory is fascinatingly laid out.
How so?
It starts in the mind from our deepest psychic feelings, that spiritual thirst. And it moves towards connection, towards proximity with what the Source calls the supreme nucleus.
The supreme nucleus. Okay, a central point of existence, maybe.
Essentially, yes. It's a movement from our inner core towards the ultimate cosmic core.
Right. So how does this actually work in real life? I mean, we still have jobs, families, we need science, we need technology. We can't just abandon the objective world.
Absolutely not. And the sources address that directly. It talks about needing a happy blending.
A happy blending. I like that.
It means integrating the subjective approach, that psycho-spiritual journey, with the objective adjustments we need for daily life.
Okay, but how do we ensure they're blended, not just running side by side, or worse, conflicting?
Through what the text calls the principle of parallelism.
Parallelism, okay.
It means the movement of our actions in the world, what the Source calls our entitative waves.
Entitative waves?
Yes.
Like our entity, what we do.
Exactly. Our actions, our existence in motion. Those waves must run parallel to the movement of our core idea, our deeper intention, which it calls the incantative waves.
Whoa. Okay. Entitative waves are actions, and cantative waves are intentions, like our guiding thoughts or prayers.
Precisely. Your inner ideological flow, your spiritual aim. Parallelism means your outward actions, your career, your science, your relationships, everything must be aligned with, and ideally driven by, that inner subjective spiritual direction. If your incantative wave, your core intention, is aimed at that supreme nucleus,
then your entitative waves, your actions, need to move in that same direction, not just randomly for comfort or profit.
That's the principle. It ensures we don't just become, really clever animals building elaborate nests.
Yeah.
It gives every objective action a subjective purpose, a deeper meaning.
That makes sense. It connects everything. And this leads us to a really powerful analogy in the text, right? Something connecting this philosophy back to physics.
Yes, it's a beautiful connection between science and spirituality. It asks us to picture human beings like electrons orbiting the nucleus of an atom.
Okay, electrons orbiting a nucleus. I can picture that.
The nucleus, in this analogy, represents the supreme nucleus, the ultimate reality, called Parama Purus.
Parama Purus. Okay, the center.
And the electron, the individual moving around it, that's us, the spiritual seeker, called the jiiva.
Jiiva. So electron is the jiiva, the nucleus is Parama Purus.
Yeah.
And we're orbiting, but there's a distance, right? The radius of the orbit.
Exactly. And the whole point of the subjective approach of spiritual practice, of sadhana, is specifically to reduce that distance, to lessen the difference between the electron and its nucleus. The goal is quite literally the length of the radius is to be lessened.
Wow. So spiritual practice isn't just metaphorical. It's seen as an actual force that pulls us closer, that shrinks the orbit.
That's the core concept. It's incredibly dynamic and, as you said, progressive. We're not stuck in orbit. We're actively, consciously moving closer to our ideological desideratum, our ultimate goal.
That feels really optimistic. It gives every action potential significance.
It's the ultimate journey. And the Source is confident. It says a day will surely come when that radius becomes zero.
Zero distance.
Zero distance. The electron, the jiiva, merges with the nucleus, Parama Purus, ultimate fusion, becoming one. That's defined as the state of supreme bliss, or beatitude.
And the Source even gives practical examples, doesn't it, to bring this cosmic idea down to earth, like specific spiritual activities.
It does. It mentions things like singing kirtana devotional songs and dancing. It says, when you do these things, you shouldn't just see them as rituals.
What should you see them as?
You should remember, consciously, that this action, this physical and mental effort, is part of shortening that distance. You are, in that moment, just a dance around Parama Purus, actively lessening the radius, moving closer.
Moving from close to closer proximity. Wow.
Yeah. Every deliberate effort to make your actions, your entitative waves, parallel to your spiritual intent, your incantative waves, is a step towards reducing that radius.
Okay, so let's synthesize this. We've mapped these 4 approaches. 3 are about objective adjustment, physical, psychophysical, psychic. Vital for living.
Absolutely necessary.
But the 4th, the psychospiritual, that's the subjective approach, the unique human path towards transformation and unity.
That's the non-negotiable part for reaching full human potential, according to this view. And the core message, really, is that all human activity, even our science, our society building, should ideally serve that ultimate goal, lessening the distance to the supreme nucleus.
So chasing knowledge, building complex societies, seeking comfort, developing deep emotions, all valuable things from the first 3 approaches. But the Source says they're incomplete on their own. Real, lasting peace or happiness, that beatitude.
It cannot be found until the aspirant, the jiiva, achieves tactual contact with the supreme self.
Tactual contact. Actually touching, merging.
Yes. The objective world is our stage. It's necessary. But the subjective psycho-spiritual approach is what defines our unique potential, what makes the Superman destiny possible.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener. If this framework is right, if true humanity is defined by this spiritual thirst.
And yet our modern world seems so focused, maybe overwhelmingly, on objective adjustments, making life physically better, smarter, more comfortable, constantly improving things out there.
Then what's one single practical adjustment you could make this week, starting now, to consciously encourage that psycho-spiritual approach in your own life?
What's one deliberate act of parallelism you could try? One small way to consciously start lessening your radius and begin claiming that ultimate human potential?